Hi, hello, welcome back to my channel. It is a fresh year. It is January 4th, I think. Oh, I don't have my watch on. I believe it's January 4th today. And we are going to be talking about all of the new releases that come out this year that I am highly anticipating and are on my list of new releases. I will put in a little disclaimer. I prefer to go into books basically blind. I don't like to know a lot of details about what the book is about, especially if it's an author that I've loved in the past that I know that I'm going to enjoy most, if not all, of their books. I don't really look into what the book is about. If it's a book that's not a previously read author, there are very few things that I have heard about it that I know about and that I think I would enjoy, but I haven't read the synopsis of majority of these books. I'm sure there are a few that are not by authors that I already know and love that I did read the synopsis of, but I don't remember what it is. But I will be going through the books on my list, the dates that they released according to Goodreads, or the authors if I saw them post about it, and I usually will put the release date in my notes app as well. And then the genre and like a brief explanation, bullet points of what the book will entail if I know. There are some that I know more about than others, which, like I said, I like to go in blind, so that is why. Also, if you see me looking to the side here, it is because I have my iPad over here with all of the new releases and little tidbits about them so that I don't forget anything. But yeah, so let's just go ahead and get right into it. I believe I have books releasing all the way from January to September. So also, if you hear my dog, I don't know if you will with the microphone going, but she is also laying in her bed right there and she's currently playing with her toy, so you might hear her, but we're just gonna get started. So actually, the first book that I have on the list that is releasing in January comes out January 13th, and it is Hollow by Selena Myers. If you are unfamiliar, Selena Myers is a TikTok person. I feel like is most commonly known for her sleepwalking videos that are hilarious, and I did know previously that she has written books and she has self-published them and they were available on Amazon, but this is her first traditionally published book, and I actually have already got my hands on it because, as I said, it is November 4th today, and I went to Barnes & Noble yesterday and saw it there, so I actually already have picked it up. It is a very pretty book. There's something on the cover too. Oh no, there's not, it's just black. But yes, so I am really excited about this. In case you can't tell by the cover, it is a vampire story. And I did see a video of her talking about it, which is what put it on my radar. And she was saying that the author, I wanna say the Vampire Diaries or Vampire Academy, I don't really remember who it is. Actually, you know what? She's probably blurbed on here. Let me see. Oh yes, L.J. Smith, author of the Vampire Diaries. This was one of the last books that she read before she passed. I believe she said she passed, and she apparently loved the book, and there's a lot of different authors who have blurbed it on the back here. I just know that this is a horror fantasy-esque romance gothic vibes, and it's about vampires. So that is all I need to know. It's also quite short. I believe it's under 300 pages. Let me just double check. And I think it's a standalone. I'm like 99% sure it's a standalone. Yes, it's just under 300 pages at 292. So I'm really excited to get to this. I will hopefully get to it soon. But yes, so that is the first one on our list and the only one I have for January. So we're gonna go into February. The first book I have on my list for February I am so excited for, and it is Throne of Nightmares by Carrie Maniscalco. This is a fantasy romance book. It is the third in her Prince of Sins series, which is a spin-off series to the Kingdom of the Wicked. If you are unfamiliar with Carrie Maniscalco and the Kingdom of the Wicked, I personally love the Kingdom of the Wicked trilogy. I devoured it really quickly when I was reading it, and I was so excited for her spin-off series for all of the brothers of the male main character in that book. And this is the third one, and this is about Prince Sloth, and I'm so excited. But essentially, the Kingdom of the Wicked is about a witch, Amelia, I believe her name was. It's been a long time since I've read that book. And she accidentally summons a demon who is Wrath, and he is the MMC in that trilogy. And long story short, without giving anything away, she is trying to figure out what happened to her sister and getting the help from Wrath, and she ends up traveling into the underworld, which is where Wrath lives because he's a demon, and he has brothers. So we have the Prince of Wrath, Prince of Gluttony, Prince of Envy, Prince of Sloth, all of the 7 sins, if you will. So this is the 3rd one, Prince Sloth, and I'm so excited. I really loved Throne of the Fallen, which was the first book in the spin-off series, and then Throne of Secrets, I think it was, the 2nd one. I liked that one too, but not as much as the first one, but I have high expectations for this book. I think I'm going to love it. So yes, that comes out February 10th, which is 4 days after my birthday. I'm so excited. Okay, please hold. I have to let my dog outside to go to the bathroom. She's whining at the door. Okay, I am back. As I was saying, Throne of Nightmares by Karen Mascalco comes out February 10th. I'm so excited for that one. But yeah, so moving on, the 2nd book I have for the month of February is And Now Back to You by B.K. Borison. This is the 2nd book. I don't know what the name of this, oh wait, yes I do. It's called the Heartstrings series. The first book is, hang on, it'll come to me. What is the name of that first book? Oh my gosh, I really enjoyed it too. Why can't I remember the name of it? This is what it was. I can't remember the name of it off the top of my head, even though I really enjoyed it. But this is the first book in the series, and the 2nd one, And Now Back to You, comes out on the 24th. It is a workplace rivals sort of situation. They are both meteorologists, I believe, and they work for different broadcast stations. I believe he works for the same radio station as the male main character in the first book. She works, I don't know if it's a TV situation or if she also works for a radio station, but yeah, so they are rivals and they don't really get along. You get snippets of them in the first book, and I'm really excited to read this one. I think it's going to be really good, and I have really been enjoying B.K. Borison this past year, and I'm so excited to get to this book when it comes out. And I just love the covers that she's doing for this series. I think they're so cute. But yeah, so that is the 2nd and last book I have on for February. And now going into March. March is a stacked month for me. I have 4 March releases on this list. So first and foremost, I have 2 that I have on my list that are both coming out March 3rd, and the first one is Just Friends by Haley Pham. If you are unfamiliar with Haley Pham, she is also a booktuber, and she is coming out with her first ever book, and it's so exciting for her, and I can't wait to read it. It is a friends to lovers contemporary romance, and I believe it's a second chance. I am very curious to see what this book entails. I know that she loves Emily Henry's books, and I think she took a lot of inspiration for her writing from a similar style to Emily Henry, and I'm curious to see if any of the details of the main characters reflect on her and her husband Ryan, because I think that the cover art looks like them, and I think that's so cute. But yeah, so that is the first book on my list for March, and the second book for March 3rd I have In Her Own League by Liz Tom40. I am so excited for this book. I can't even tell you how excited I am. I actually got a ticket for her event in New York City for her book tour for this, so I already pre-ordered a copy of this basically, because with the ticket you go, you listen to her talk, and you can get a photo with her, and you also get a copy of the book signed by Liz Tom40. So I'm so excited for this. This is a spin-off to the Windy City series. So if you are unfamiliar, the Windy City series is a sports romance series following different characters. It starts with Mile High, which a lot of people don't love. I personally liked it, but I did enjoy the rest of the series more. So it's Mile High, The Right Move, Play Along, Caught Up, and Rewind It Back, which Rewind It Back was easily my favorite romance book that I read in 2025. That book was, there was just something about it. I don't even know. I love Rio and Hallie so much, and I tabbed the heck out of that book. And I don't really tab romance books that heavily typically. That one I tapped. So this is a spinoff to that, and it is Monty, who is the baseball coach for Kai and Miller, and also in Caught Up, the FMC is Monty's daughter. So Monty is the coach or whatever for the baseball team, and you get a lot of snippets of him in the books. And in, I believe it's Caught Up, you get snippets of the FMC, I forgot what her name is. I think it might be Reese. She is the new owner of the team, and she's the first female baseball team owner. And there's little snippets of between her and Emmett Montgomery, who is the MMC Monty. You get little snippets of them interacting, and it's just so good. I just know this book is gonna be so good. And I actually just today was watching Liz Tom 40's Instagram stories. She was doing a Q&A type situation on her stories, and she was talking about this book a lot, and it just made me even more excited. And I can't wait to go to her event at the Barnes & Noble in Union Square in March. And this is gonna be my first author event, and I'm so excited that I was able to get tickets because they always sell out before I am able, and I just can't wait for this book. So it's a sports romance, obviously sports team owner and the coach of the sports team. I'm assuming it's gonna be a force proximity / workplace rivals type situation, considering I think they butt heads a lot. But yeah, I'm really excited for this. And then moving on from that, I have March 24th, The Night We Met by Abby Jimenez. Abby Jimenez is one of my favorite romance authors. I've loved every book that I have read by her so far. I believe the only other books that I have left to read that aren't new releases coming out, aka The Night We Met, are The Happy Ever After Playlist and Life's Too Short, which are two of her books from her first little trilogy series thing that she published. So I have those two left to read still, but otherwise I've loved every book that I've read by her, and in my opinion, her newer books just keep getting better and better. I am in the minority, and I loved Say You'll Remember Me, and this one I'm a little curious to see how it's going to be done, because I believe it is her ex's best friend. The MMC is the FMC's ex's best friend, I believe. I don't really know how it's gonna work, but I know that she is dating the MMC's best friend in the beginning of the book. So I'm a little, my dog is whining. I'm sorry if you can hear that. I don't know why she's whining. I just let her outside. She might be trying to get the cat who's hiding behind the Christmas tree. I don't know. But anyways, I'm curious to see how that's gonna go. I'm a little unsure, but I love her writing, and her books make me laugh, and they also make me feel things. So I'm excited for that. And then the last book I have on my list for March, I don't know if this is exactly when this book is gonna come out, but I have it set for March 31st, and it's Starside by Alex Astor. This is a new romantasy series that she is writing. It is an enemies to lovers, and I believe I've seen Emmy read this already. She got an arc of this book. She's the first person apparently to read it, according to Alex Astor. But yes, so I believe she said that the magic system is a little bit different. I've seen her talking about it, and she said that a lot of people are saying how it seems very similar to Lightlark, but she didn't think so. So I'm curious to see how this will be. This is an adult fantasy though. Lightlark is technically YA, even though I would say it's on the upper part of YA, because there are some questionable scenes in Lightlark to be considered YA, but I'm excited for this nonetheless. I really enjoy Alex Astor's writing. I've enjoyed Lightlark up until the point where I am, and I enjoyed Summer in the City too, which was her first rom-com, adult rom-com that she released this past year. So I'm excited for Starside to come out in March, I believe, end of March. We'll see if that is actually accurate. I'm not 100% sure, but I'm excited nonetheless. Hi, baby. Do you come in and say hi? Thank you so much. Can you go lay down and play with your toys, please? I just had to get your eye boogie. You say hi to the camera? Come here. Come here. Okay. No? Okay, go bye. Okay, goodbye. Love you. Anyways, we're moving on now to April and May. I have two for each, and the first one, okay, so the first one I have on my list for April is the second book in the Shield of Sparrows series by Devney Perry. This is a romantasy series that she is writing. I believe it's going to be a trilogy, but don't quote me on that. I'm pretty sure, but I'm not 100% sure. And it's called Rights of the Starling. This comes out April 7th, and I have pre-ordered this. I'm so excited for this to come out. The covers of these books too are just beautiful. I love Devney Perry. That's my microphone. What are you doing? You're so silly. You want to lay right next to mommy? Go lay down. You're so silly. She was sleeping so good right before I started filming, and I knew this was going to happen, but it's fine. Okay, but yeah, so anyhow, Rights of the Starling by Devney Perry, April 7th, romantasy. Second to Shield of Sparrows. I really enjoyed Shield of Sparrows. I believe if I gave it 4 stars. I thought that it was a really great introduction to a new series, especially a romantasy series, because obviously she has to build the world. I will say that the first book is about Odessa, and Odessa was raised kind of just as a spare daughter. Her sister was raised to be married off into the kingdom, which is a part of a treaty that they have to keep peace between the kingdoms, and that kingdom has decided to make an early appearance, and they decide, actually, no, I don't want to marry that one. I want to marry your other daughter. And the other daughter isn't trained, doesn't know anything about the other kingdoms, where she'll be traveling, anything like that, but she does it. And her father tells her, hey, we actually want you to spy on them and find information for us, which is what your sister has been training for her whole life. And now you just have to kind of do it, because she marries him and then leaves the next day. So that happens, and then she is traveling on a big ship across the sea to this new kingdom, and you kind of just get to follow her as she is learning more about the kingdoms and the person that she is now married to and everything else. There's monsters in this story, and by monsters, they're essentially animals who have deformations that the gods created. I'm explaining this very badly, I'm so sorry, but this book was really good. I very much enjoyed it, and I'm very excited to see where it goes into the second book, because the end of the book, crazy. That's my finger. Okay, lay down. Lay down. Thank you so much. But yeah, so that's Rites of the Starling. I butchered that explanation, but it's besides the point. The next book I have for April comes out April 28th, and it is called Bloodbound by Ellis Hunter. This one I don't really know where I saw or where I found this book, because I don't remember, but it was on my list. And all I have written down here is it's a romantasy, and it involves witches, dragons, and it's the start of a series. So that is enough for me. Witches and dragons, yes, please. So this comes out April 28th. Again, not really sure what it's about. I don't want to read the description, because like I said, I like to go into my books blind, and I think I would have a better time with this doing that. So yes, Bloodbound by Ellis Hunter comes out April 28th, and it is a romantasy with witches and dragons, and it's the start of a new series. So moving on to May, we have a pretty controversial book, but I am still going to read it because I enjoy this author's work, and it is A Fever Dream by Elsie Silver. I know that there's a lot of controversy on this book right now, and I do think that it's warranted to a sense, but I also think that it has been fixed, what the issue was, and I don't think that she meant it to come across the way that it did, and her fixing it I think says a lot. And I also do want to say that I think ARC copies in general are meant for this kind of thing. Her and her editor might not have thought that it came across in the way that other people took it, and that is the point, I believe, of an ARC, because if there's something in the book that people find issue with and they relay that back to the publisher or to the author, they see it, they can fix it before it is fully traditionally published. A lot of the time, I believe ARCs aren't really edited much before they go out, especially early ARCs. So I do think that she didn't mean what it came across as, and I have heard that she has since fixed it. So I don't know, don't come for me in the comments, but I'm still going to be reading it. I think the premise sounds really fun. It is a cowboy. My dog is being crazy right now. You're crazy. It is a cowboy romance story. It is a character that we saw in the Chestnut Springs series briefly, because he is a bull rider, and he is going on a cowboy-esque dating show. I have seen that the premise of this book is similar to the premise of the Wrong Paris movie on Netflix, which I have not read, but I've heard is really good. So if I enjoy this book, then I might watch the movie, or maybe I'll watch the movie and then before I read the book, I don't know, but it sounds really fun. I've never read a book with that concept before, so I think it'll be fun to see how the story goes. But I know that the MMC is the bachelor type person on this cowboy dating show on his ranch, and the FMC is not one of the contestants. She works for the TV show and she is on site. So I will be very interested to see how that goes. I think it's going to be very interesting. And I also believe that the FMC is Theo from Reckless in the Chestnut Springs series. His sister, I'm pretty sure, is what I've seen, but I'm not 100% sure. So I'm really excited nonetheless, because I just eat these books up. Okay, and then the last book I have that comes out in May comes out May 26th, and it's Birds of a Feather by Kate Stewart. This is the next book in her spin-off to the Ravenhood series. So she has Legacy series. So this is part of a spin-off series to the Ravenhood trilogy. It is called the Legacy series, I believe, and the first book was One Last Rainy Day, which was Dom's story, and then the second book was Severed Heart, and this is about Tyler and Delphine and their lives growing up, and then I'm assuming their relationship. I haven't quite finished it yet. I did start it, but I didn't finish it. And then Birds of a Feather is the next book in the series, also following Tyler. I believe it is his story after the events of the Ravenhood trilogy, or just maybe after what happens with him and Delphine. I don't really know, but nonetheless, I'm excited. I really enjoyed the Ravenhood series, and I really enjoyed One Last Rainy Day, and I did like the first 80 pages of Severed Heart when I started it. I just haven't picked it back up to finish it, but obviously I will be doing that before I can read this one, and I am very excited to see where the story goes. But yeah, so that is May. Let's move on to June. Coming out June 16th, I have The Someday Garden by Ashley Poston. This is a new magical realism romance by her. All of her books are magical realism romances, and I've loved every single one. My dog just got the zoomies. Could you hear that? All of her books are magical realism romances, and I've loved every single one of them, and two of her most popular ones are The 7 Years Left and The Dead Romantics. I really enjoyed those as well as her other two books, but yeah, so I'm very excited for this one. I have no idea what the premise is because, again, I didn't read the synopsis, but I love Ashley Poston and I've loved all of her books that I've read so far, so I am excited for this one to come out. The next one I have for June comes out June 23rd, and It Could Have Been Her by Lisa Jewell. I historically really enjoy Lisa Jewell's books. She writes more of a psychological thriller. It's more of a, you know what's going to happen, but you still need to know how it happens kind of situation. It's not necessarily a story that has really big twists at the end of her thrillers, but I have enjoyed her books pretty thoroughly. I will say her release for 2025 was kind of disappointing for me, but I have high hopes for this one because I've enjoyed all of her other ones more, so we'll see, I guess, how I feel about it when it comes out. Yeah, so that's that. Again, I don't know really what it's about. I just saw it and I said, okay, yeah, that looks good to me. I like Lisa Jewell, and if I continue to like her new releases, I'm going to continue reading her. If I keep getting disappointed by them, then I will probably stop adding her to my new release lists, because these are mostly for books that I'm really excited for in the new year. And if I keep getting disappointed by her new releases, then I will probably no longer add her to my list, but maybe I will read them eventually, I guess. I don't know. But yeah, so the next one I have is in July. I think it's the only one. Yeah, so the only one I have for July is The Gilded Blade by Jennifer Lynn Barnes. Now this is, I believe, the third and final book in the spin-off series to the Inheritance Games. So I know a lot of people haven't loved the story continuing, but it's a little bit confusing because the Inheritance Games is a 3-book series. It's a trilogy. You have the Inheritance Games, the Hawthorne Legacy, and the Final Gambit. That is the main trilogy. But you also have 2 other sort of spin-off books to that series. You have Games Untold, which I have up here somewhere that I haven't read yet, and that is a collection of novellas, I believe, that follow other characters in the series, not so much the main characters. You also have The Brothers Hawthorne, which is another spin-off short story, I suppose. It also introduces some new characters that are the main characters that are in this new series. I don't know what this new series is called, but it is a spin-off to the Inheritance Games. So it's not the same storyline. However, you do kind of get small little tidbits of Avery and Jameson and some of the other brothers in this new series, but it's not mainly about them. So at the end of the Inheritance Games, this might be a slight spoiler, so if you haven't read the Inheritance Games or you plan to and you don't want to know, then I would suggest skipping the next couple of seconds. But at the end of the Inheritance Games series, Avery decides that she is going to give away a lot of the money that she has inherited, and by doing so, she created a game to do that. So this new series is essentially the first game that she has created. So you're following different contestants in this game and them going through the game. And I personally enjoyed it when I read it, and I want to continue the series. I just haven't gotten to it yet, so I haven't read the next book in it that has been published yet. This is the third and final book. It's more of a YA mystery series. There's like games in it. It's pretty similar to the Inheritance Games, obviously, because Avery developed these games that they're playing based on what she went through during the Inheritance Games trilogy, but it's not exactly the same, but it gives the same vibes, which I enjoyed. I think it's fun, and there is a little bit of a romance subplot, I believe, in this. But yeah, so The Gilded Blade by Jennifer Lynn Barnes, I believe, is going to be the final book in this whole universe that she has written. So we shall see if it is actually the final book, but I believe it is supposed to be the final book. All right, moving on to August. I have 3 books in August.
Adding Adversary to the Villain as an August 4th release since I missed it somehow when I originally recorded this. This is the 4th book in the Assistant to the Villain series, and I love the series, and I can't wait to read this one.
I have 2 that both come out August 4th. The first one is The Unknown by Riley Sager. There's no cover for this one yet. It is a paranormal thriller mystery, is what I came up with on Goodreads without reading the synopsis, because again, I don't like to do that. I like to go in blind, but Riley Sager for me is a win author, I guess I would say. Every book that he has written I've read, and I've enjoyed all of them. There's maybe 1 or 2 that weren't my favorite, but I have enjoyed them overall. And yeah, so I'm excited for this one. The Unknown. Yeah, all I have written down is it's a thriller mystery with paranormal aspects. So I'm guessing that I got the paranormal aspects thing from Goodreads, because I looked at the bottom like what they categorized it as, because obviously it's a thriller mystery. But I will say the ones that I don't love as much tend to have a paranormal aspect to them. So I guess we'll see how I feel about this one, but overall I do enjoy his books. And yeah, so that's that one. And then the other book that comes out August 4th I have is To Dance with Death by Brittany Arena. I got an ARC for A Dance of Flies through NetGalley, obviously before it was published, and I put it off for so long, and I just want to say I feel so dumb for doing that, because that book was really good. It was such a different premise than what I typically read for a fantasy romance, because one, I wasn't sure who the MMC was going to end up being. I had hopes, obviously, and it did end up being who I hoped it was going to be, but I wasn't sure. And it was just such a different concept, and there was kind of a undercover spy aspect to it, which I really enjoyed. First of all, the covers of this book are beautiful, and I am very excited to see how the story concludes. I believe it's just a duology, so this should be the last book. And the end of the book, OMG, the end of that book was incredible. And I just need to know what's going to happen. So I'm so excited for this book to come out. I'm gonna try and see if I can get an ARC of this one as well, and then actually read it before it comes out, because I waited way too long and I didn't read A Dance of Lies before the release date. It was really not good, but I will read this one before the release date if I'm able to get an ARC through NetGalley for this, because it is, oh, I'm so excited. It was probably one of my favorite books, romantasy books that I read this year. It was very different and I really enjoyed it. So yeah, and then the next book I have for August is August 18th. We have Dreamland by Olivia Blake. Olivia Blake is another author that I will pretty much read anything that she writes. I haven't read every single book that she has written, but I have read a good majority of them. I think there's only 2 books on her backlist that I haven't read yet, but I have read every book that she's come out with, and I will say that her writing is a little bit harder for my brain to digest quickly, so it takes me a bit longer to read her books. Her last few releases have thoroughly impressed me. I will say I did really like The Atlas 6. That was probably the first book that I read by her, I believe. And I enjoyed the first book. The second book I thought was okay, and I didn't love the last book in that series. But I really enjoyed Masters of Death. I also really enjoyed Gifted and Talented, and I recently read Girl Dinner and surprisingly really enjoyed that. But yeah, so I am excited for this to come out. I didn't read the synopsis, as you should just expect at this point, but what I have written down based off of Goodreads genre classifications is it's a gothic fantasy horror thriller mystery. So it's in the thriller mystery genre, but also has fantasy aspects, I believe, and probably a slightly horror, and it has a overall gothic mood is what I'm getting from it. I don't really know, but the cover again for this one is beautiful. I'm really excited for this to come out, so I have high expectations since I've been loving her books as of late. So yes, I'm excited for this to come out, and yeah, that comes out on August 18th. Moving on to the last 3 books. Okay, so I actually have one in October, but I have 2 September and 1 October. The first book that I have for September comes out September 1st, and it's The Name of the Moon by Rachel Gillig. I'm so excited for this book. This is the second and I believe final book to The Night and the Moth, and that is one of my favorite books that I read this year as well. And oh my gosh, it was so good. So this is a gothic fantasy romance. The first book follows Sybil, and she is a diviner. She basically will drink some blood of the person she is divining for, drowns, and she is able to see the what do they call them? I don't remember what they call them, but they're basically gods, if you will. She gets to see the different gods, and they give her signs, and she takes these signs and she tells the person she's divining for what the signs are, and they take it as you will, like as what they mean, as predictions of their future, essentially. So she does this, and she does it for the new king, and she sees all bad things, and she sees this omen. I think that's what they're called, the omens. She sees the seventh, I believe, omen, and she has never seen the seventh omen before, and she doesn't know what to take from that. So it kind of starts this whole thing, and then her fellow diviners start going missing, and she enlists the help of the knight from the new king to try and find her diviners, and she leaves where she is lived her whole life doing the divining. She leaves there with the knights and the king to kind of try and find her fellow diviners, and the story goes from there. But oh my gosh, it was so good. In that ending, I cannot with the cliffhangers that Rachel Gillig does. But I swear, I really enjoy her writing style, and the worlds that she creates, they're just so different compared to other books that I've read. This one was so good. I enjoyed the One Dark Window duology, but I think I like this one even more. It was so good, and I can't wait for this one to come out. I can't wait. And I just hope that everything is okay. If you've read it, Bartholomew has my heart, and I hope that Bartholomew, nothing bad happens to him. That's what I hope. But yes, so I'm so excited for that one. And then the next one I'm also very excited for. I don't have a specific release date for this one. I just know that it's coming out September of this year, and it is Deadbeat by Leigh Bardugo. This is the third and I believe final book in the Alex Stern series. This is Ninth House and Hellbent, and this is the final book, and I am so excited. I read Ninth House so early on in my reading journey. I read it, and it must have just come out when I had read it, because Hellbent wasn't coming out for another year, and I needed that book like I need air. When I finished Ninth House, I just needed to know what happened. So obviously I went right into Hellbent when that came out, and I really enjoyed that one as well, and I cannot wait to reread those books leading up to the release of Deadbeat, because I'm going to have to. It's been a while since I've read them, at least 2 years since I've read them. So I'm so excited to reread them, especially now. I feel as though my reading taste has slightly changed from when I first read Ninth House, and I loved Ninth House when I first read it. I was a little bit confused for majority of the first book, but then towards the end, it kind of just all started to click, and the end of that book is insane. So yeah, but I feel now when I reread it, I think I'm just gonna love it even more, and I'm so excited to reread those books when this is officially announced, the date that it's coming out, because it's gonna be so good. I hope that they come out with a paperback version. I believe it's a Barnes & Noble exclusive paperback version, like they did for the first two books in this series. I know it's gonna come out in hardcover first, and I'm going to get that because I don't even care. But if they release the paperback version of it to match the first two books like they did, they're just a slightly different colorway with a sprayed edge. Nothing too crazy, but they're really nice. So I'm hoping that they will, and I'm so excited for the cover for this to be revealed. I love the Ninth House cover. It's so simple, but it's also just, I don't know, so intriguing. So I can't wait for this. I'm so excited. And then the last book I have on my list of new releases for 2026 that are on my radar is Victorious by V.E. Schwab, that comes out October 6th. This is the third and final book in the Villains series, I believe it's called. The first one is Vicious, and then you have Vengeful, which I haven't read yet. I've only read Vicious, but I have Vengeful on my priority reads, obviously, because I want to read the whole series. This, I'm trying to think the best way to explain it. It is sort of like a fantasy, but I guess maybe sci-fi-ish dark academia-esque, the first book at least. Again, haven't read the second book yet, but the first book, you're following two male main characters in school, and they're studying extraordinary beings and extraordinary capabilities that people are able to obtain and how they are able to obtain them. So essentially people with superpowers, if you will. So super strength, super speed, stuff like that. It gave me Fantastic Four vibes, like the powers that people were getting and the way that they were was giving me Fantastic Four vibes. And you kind of follow these two male main characters who are studying how people obtain these and then testing it on themselves and obtaining powers. And then you kind of skip ahead and you see one of them breaking out of jail. I believe he breaks out of jail to come after the other one because something happens that makes them enemies. And yeah, so I'm curious to see where the second book will go because I know that you're introduced to some new characters and it's a new kind of storyline, if you will, but the other characters from the first book are also in it, I believe. I don't know. So I'm curious to see where it goes. I did enjoy it. It's not on like the tippy top of my favorite books that I read, but as I said, I am curious to continue it, and it is one of my top priority reads for the year because I want to finish the trilogy. But yeah, I have historically not been obsessed with any books that I've read by V.E. Schwab. I know a lot of people love Addie LaRue, but when I read it, I didn't love it. And I read it at the beginning of my reading journey, if you will, getting back into reading. And I just thought that the first half of it was kind of boring. So I feel as though maybe I should reread it. I think I might feel differently about it now that it's been quite a few years since I read that. I might enjoy it more now. However, I don't know if I will. I think after finishing this series, I want to go into the Darker Shade of Magic series because I've heard incredible things about that one. So that is next on my list from her, and we'll see if I enjoyed that one as well. Then I think that I might go back to Addie LaRue and see how I feel about it. But yeah, anyways, those are all of the books that I have on my list of 2026 new releases that I am excited for and looking forward to reading. If there's any other ones that I did not see that you think I might enjoy based off of these ones or things that I've mentioned liking in this video or in the past, please leave them in the comments below so I can check them out. I'm always looking for new books and new authors. I love exploring new authors, but I also love to read the current authors that I love. So if there's anything you think that I would enjoy, or if there's any new releases you're on the lookout for this coming year, leave them in the comments. I would really appreciate it if you would give this video a thumbs up and subscribe if you want to see more videos. But yeah, thank you guys so much for watching.